Faithful viewer, have I ever told you the tragedy of Revenge of the Sith on VHS?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did, many moons ago. In a pretty garbo video where I covered every VHS release of the mainline Star Wars films. And if you're familiar, you'll know, unfortunately, the saga was never completed in this format, at least here in the US. We never got Episode 3 on VHS, leaving a very much felt dent in our collections. We were this close to greatness. But that's not the whole story. Revenge of the Sith was released on VHS in certain territories like the UK in limited quantities. And these tapes aren't just rare and expensive. Like most VHS tapes, they're region locked, meaning even if I sold enough scrap metal and bone meal for these tapes, they wouldn't play on my VCR. I'd need to import a PAL VCR, a proper power supply and display, it'd quickly become a headache. Or I would need a very expensive multi-region VCR player. But there is another. And I have it, that's right, Revenge of the Sith on VHS. Unlimited power. This is the South Korean VHS release of Star Wars Episode 3. When I talked about cars on VHS, I showed off my Korean Ratatouille and Wall-E VHS tapes, where the format lasted much longer there. And not only that, those tapes are NTSC region. Meaning, yes, they'll play on my VCR, no problem. And what's even better is, unlike Ratatouille and Wall-E, this Revenge of the Sith tape is in its original English audio with Korean subtitles, not dubbed.
You underestimate my power! Now try it!
Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, we did it! War! I am finally watching Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith on VHS. This is the happiest day of my life. Man, this rocks. I mean, all those years ago when Revenge of the Sith came out only on DVD, Episode 3 was synonymous with the death of VHS to me. It felt like the first major release that made it clear that VHS was out and DVD was now in.
Hello there.
Let me tell you, it's something else to watch this explosive CGI fest opening battle, of course, on condensed in 4:3 Pudu quality, and I love it. It really changes the vibe of the whole experience, and in a movie that's heavy with fully digital environments where every shot is so dense, VHS kinda helps mask and smooth some of those blemishes. You watch Revenge of the Sith today in 4K on Disney Plus and it can really start looking pretty Spy Kids 3D here and there. A lot of these scenes and locales just come across way better in a lower resolution and start looking a bit surreal in some places, like you stumbled upon some found footage of some ancient space war. Throwing what was a big budget high-tech CGI fest blockbuster onto a bunch of flimsy tape is just irresistibly charming to me, and it's a movie I can watch 100 times and never get bored. There are some other pretty obscure VHS releases of Episode 3 out there, like this rental exclusive copy released in Mexico, and this tape also is NTSC and is the original English dub with Spanish subtitles. So while Revenge of the Sith's VHS release went unadvertised even in regions it was released in, it was still something you could possibly come across. I remember like 5 years ago now, I did try making my own custom Revenge of the Sith tape for my collection, and it did the job for a few days, and then it kind of fell apart. But this was more like a Mach 1. Making custom VHS tapes has come a long way since then, and there are so many more techniques and guides and people with way more talent and way more resources on how to do something like this than there were back when I made this thing. Heck, there are even online shops now producing official VHS releases of modern movies, mostly horror films and what have you. Things like Ennismen. Anybody watch Ennismen? No? Well, it's on VHS, that's certainly a thing that exists. Star Wars has had a long, rich history on the format, and I'm so glad I could finally officially round out the complete saga in my collection. And look, there are plenty of hobbyists producing custom VHS cases. You don't have to go out of your way to get something like the Korean release of Revenge of the Sith, but I am truly glad to have this one. I just hope my VCR doesn't chew it up one day.